This is the Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League podcast with your host, Jason Peck.
That is right, boys. We are back with Week 13 edition of the 2022 Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League podcast. As always, I am your host, the commissioner of the Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League, Jason Peck, and I am here with your boy Neil, filling in this week since Ryo was too busy to do this podcast. So Neil is jumping in and joining me this week. Neil, thanks for joining me. How are you?
Sure thing. I was kind of bummed last week when we did not get to do the podcast. I'm not sure why. Even though I played you last week. Not sure what happened, but happy to be filling in this week.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I had stuff going on Tuesday and Wednesday. I actually did. I had rehearsals for church music and then D&D on Tuesday. I couldn't.
Okay, I mean, if you say so. I'm sure it has nothing to do with what happened last week, but I don't remember what that was. Can you remind me?
I don't remember.
Well, I'll just jog your memory.
You don't remember, so you can't tell me either.
It just came to me. You know how these things work. It came me on the tip of your tongue, and then boom, all of a sudden it comes to you. And it came to me. And guess what? I was the number one scorer last week against you. I received $10 the next morning at work, and it was probably the happiest I felt this entire season.
I'm sorry. I was playing to drop through your rant because I was trying to cut you off, and it obviously didn't work.
Oh, I didn't hear it. I'll keep going because last time we talked, it was week 3. I was 0-3. Season was not looking good. But here we are. I've won 8 of the last 9. I feel like I'm in first place because I've already. I will get to that part later. But things are looking up. My team is peaking at the right time.
You're right. You know, we will get to that a little bit later. We'll see how you're winning your games and all that sort of stuff. You're right. You did get the highest score last week, and you got that Alexander Hamilton. So congratulations. Here, I'll do a drop just for you.
There we go. Love that. I want that every time. I want that sound to play through my phone, no matter what I'm doing. When I get that $10, like if I get it again in the future, I'm on work. Let's say I'm teaching some 5-year-olds. I want to hear that sound when the money gets sent to me. It does. I do not care. I love that sound.
I tell you what, you could get you could set that as your alert tone for Venmo. Then you get it every time that you hit Venmo, but I don't know how frequently you're Venmo. So who knows? You know, talk to Benai. He's the curator of that soundbite. He could probably hook you up.
Okay, I will have to do
that. Or just get his permission and I can give it to you. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
I don't know if I have distribution rights on it, all right? That's all I know. That's all.
Can I just pirate it somewhere?
You can
try. Pirate Bay,
he literally
Pirate Bay or something.
So you could try to find it, but chances are it's probably not out there. But unfortunately, we had a lot of quarterback injuries this week, and we're gonna jump right into this week's show here with the injuries. So let's go. I will re-drop the drop since it was maybe not heard from by everybody during your wonderful, glorious talking about last week. So
well, I can be sure that I didn't hear it. So
we'll jump into it now.
This week's injuries.
How is he running with a broken leg? Dog, I gotta do this shit. I put the team on my fucking back, though. My leg broke. I don't know how the fuck I'm running right now, though.
You're darn right. Yeah, and that really applies to a couple of these guys this week. To start off with, since we're talking about fractures, actually, this might not be true. He didn't get a Liz Frank injury. He did break his foot, though, I believe. Jimmy G. Your boy Jimmy G. He is out for most of the season, at least. I believe today there was news that came in that said he could potentially come back for the playoffs. Like, he's only out for like 7 weeks, which is like most of the week most of the season that's left, I believe. So there's a chance that he comes back. So actually, I'm sorry. We have to have sad music.
There you go.
Additionally, Lamar Jackson, speaking of, great quarterbacks, had a PCL sprain this week, and he may be out for a couple of weeks. We're not 100% sure on his timeline, but it looks like he's for sure going to miss this week and maybe a week after. So, like I said, this is the week of injuries. We had Matt Stafford. Unfortunately, we had the bad news that he has a spinal cord contusion and he is out for the year. So even if he could potentially come back, they're probably shutting him down anyways because the Rams suck. So yeah, they're just shutting him down for the year. Probably best for him and his health. The team doesn't really need him to continue to lose games. So
Pretty fair assessment there, Jason.
Yeah, I can't think of a team that won the Super Bowl the previous year that was so terrible the next year.
Yeah, and defending Super Bowl champion nonetheless.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they won the Super Bowl last year and they are just so bad. I don't know. That's crazy to me. But we've got one more. This one is actually more, might not even be that bad, but we've got Tua, who had some sort of ankle injury. I think he left the game, and he is day-to-day, I guess, with some sort of ankle injury. Speaking of strange ankle injuries, we've got Kenneth Walker with a jammed ankle. That's something that I've never heard before.
Jason, did you even know that ankles could be jammed? Because I did not.
No. Apparently, so Pete Carroll said it's something that he'd never seen before either, but literally the bone jammed into the ankle. I guess it's like jamming your finger, where if you hit something straight on when you jam your finger, apparently that's what happened. So I don't know. It seems like he's going to be out this week, probably. But it's not as bad as a sprained ankle, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on. But we had Traylon Burks, who caught an amazing touchdown, and I don't know how he caught this touchdown because he was also knocked out on the same play. And he had a concussion, and he is week to week because I don't know if I think it's his second. Is it his second this year? I don't remember. But either way, concussions are tougher to come back from in 1 week with the new concussion protocol.
Yeah, still crazy though that he was able to hold onto the ball after catching that ball. Everybody thought he was dead, but he literally said, "You'll have to pry this ball out of my dead hands," and that's what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. That catch was great, and he got hit hard, cheap shot pretty much in the end zone. So thank goodness he's okay. Hopefully he makes it through the concussion protocol and is doing all right. Oh, we've also got... Sorry, go ahead.
Going back to the quarterback news, Rams have sucked this year. We talked about that. Matthew Stafford probably he is out for the year. And you would think this wouldn't really impact the playoff race, the NFL playoff race, that much, but it does. Do you know why? Do you know where I'm going to? Where I'm going?
It has to do with picks, probably, right?
No. So we know Jimmy G is out for a while, and the 49ers actually wanted to pick up Jimmy G, or pick up Baker. Sorry, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And the Rams decided to pick up Baker. A, to have a quarterback that was good at some point, but B, to make sure that the 49ers didn't get him, which I heard reportedly that Christian McCaffrey was very excited about. I heard that if Baker had joined the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey was going to go back to the Panthers because he was already sick of them.
Wait, I thought... Is he on the Rams?
Who?
Oh, yeah. I thought he was picked up by the 49ers. That's why I sent that GIF earlier today, because I thought he was picked up by the 49ers. Because there had been no news that they were looking at him. So, Baker.
Yeah, there was. Yep.
So yeah, no, you're right. He did get picked up by the Rams. So
Okay, I was checking. I was kind of panicked, actually.
yeah, no, I was confused too, but you were right. He was picked up by the Rams. So yeah, we'll see if they play him. There's sounds like they're seeing if they can get him on track for Thursday. I highly doubt that. That's tomorrow. I really doubt that they're going to be able to get him involved this week, but maybe, by next week, I guess, could potentially happen. So yeah, he's back in play, I guess, as a quarterback, a starting quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Who'd have thought we'd be here after, how it started? So, or how it had, not how it started this year, but how the middle of the year has gone.
Yes, and it seems like we say this every year, but it's been such a crazy year in the NFL.
Yeah, we do say that every year, and I think we forget over the 6 months that NFL isn't going on how crazy actually things get, So,
Mm-hmm.
But that's what makes it fun,
Exactly.
Not the injuries, but the craziness of the NFL in general. But as far as injuries, we do have a single more injury to talk about. We have Courtland Sutton, who had a hamstring strain, and he might be out for this week coming up. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But he hasn't been super helpful as far as fantasy goes, anyways, this year. So yeah, that's all the injuries I've got for this week. Like I said, it's pretty quarterback heavy. Teams are scrambling for starting quarterbacks, as you heard. They're picking up Baker Mayfield to start for him, and I don't know who. Purdy. Mr. Irrelevant, I think is starting for the 49ers, right?
Yep, Brock Purdy, and he actually looked really good when he went in for Jimmy G. So maybe they have another good quarterback on their hands. We'll see.
We'll have to see. Yeah, for sure. So either way, I think he's going to throw a lot of checkdowns to Christian McCaffrey, so I'm happy about that.
For sure, for sure.
But all right, let's move on to fantastic news this week. We have the top scorer of the league. That's right, boys. I'm back. It's your boy, the Christian Crusaders, with 151.6 fantasy points. Alexander Hamilton. That's right. That means I just don't have to pay it out to any of you Gooshbagz. It's just me keeping the money that I'm holding for you guys this year. So congratulations to me. I'm hoping this starts a playoff run of great note and fantastic magnitude. That's not the word I'm looking for. Anyway, I hope it's a fantastic playoff run for the Christian Crusaders. And it all started, Neil, with a trade that we made, right?
Sure. Honestly, though, I really do believe that the fantasy gods looked down on you. They felt really bad because you had quite a bit of a rough go. But they felt like making you feel good again before crushing your hopes again.
Oh, they're gonna crush my hopes this week.
I think your hopes will be crushed.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But for now, let's look backwards before we look forwards. Let's look to the Week 13 matchup reactions.
Last week's head-to-head results.
That's right. In matchup number 1 for Week 13, we have the Christian Crusaders versus the Young Hoes. And like I said, we're back, boys. 151.6 fantasy points up on the board to the Young Hoes. 99.92 fantasy points. That is right. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have my second cup of coffee today, and that was a mistake because I could really use the energy right now.
Yeah, I know you texted me, you're like, oh yeah, I go to bed at 9:30. I'm like, okay, so he should be awake at this time, but I guess not.
No. And also we usually start at 7 or 7:30, so I can be done by like 8:30, and then I can get all the editing done and off to everybody tonight. But
well, you know how late brown people eat, so this it just had to be right now.
I guess so. But anyways, the Christian Crusaders did take down the Young Hoes. We had Jalen Hurts leading the way. He's been a monster for me this year, 34.4 fantasy points. That's why when anybody tried to trade for him, I said no. He's too valuable. Too valuable.
Yeah, including when I tried to trade for him.
Yeah, I told you. I'm not going to trade him. And actually, I was almost opposed. The only reason I gave up A.J. Brown, who did go off this week, was because I was able to get Christian McCaffrey in return. So, and I don't know how that trade turned out for me. To be honest, I might have lost that trade. But I was consolidating my talent because I needed another running back, and at that point, Jonathan Taylor was not doing well. So, and he's still not doing great, but he did give me 11.8 fantasy points this week, which is okay. It's survivable. It's good running back 2 numbers from Jonathan Taylor. Not what I really want, but that's what I'm getting right now. I did have 24.6 fantasy points from Christian McCaffrey, 20 fantasy points from Garrett Wilson, and 22 fantasy points from Christian Watson. So the Christians leading the way. Christian Kirk did get me 13.4, so not too bad of a week either. So I only had one player score less than 10 fantasy points, and that was Dalton Schultz, my tight end. So
yeah, and it looks like like you said, Jalen Hurts, he's been consistently super good this year. But Christian Watson, I remember right before the trade deadline, I was talking to some people, and they were saying, "Oh, Christian Watson is so touchdown dependent. It's not sustainable. It'll never happen." Do you remember who that person was?
Yeah, it was me, and I agree with myself. But I did also think that Jamal Williams, I thought his value is going to go down as the season goes on and as DeAndre Swift gets healthier. So that was another reason why I was willing to part with him. And that also came true, didn't it?
As of now, it looks like it. Looks like DeAndre Swift's looking pretty good. But if you look at my lineup right now, that other guy is on my bench. So we don't really need him. We're already
starting your backups right now.
Oh, I thought we were gonna wait till later to get to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you brought up your lineup, so I thought I would comment on it. But anyway, like I said, my team was fantastic this week, and I just think this is going to start a run. It's going to be a fantastic run, and I'm going to win many games in a row, and it's going to be great. So
okay, well, right now, you're just fighting for a playoff spot right now, right?
I'm in the 5th spot right now, currently. I hold my own destiny. I win this week, I'm in. I have the highest points of everybody with my same record. We'll go over all of this later, but essentially, I'm a lock for the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty cocky for someone who really does not have their spot locked down yet. 1 week left in the regular season. But like you said, we'll get to that later.
Literally two people have their spots locked down right now. The rest of the league is up in the air.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll go over to the Young Hoes here. Not a great week from the Young Hoes. He was basically led by DK Metcalf, who had 22.7 fantasy points. We have Devonta Smith, who had 18.7 fantasy points. And, Josh Allen kind of had a disappointing day this week with 16.9 fantasy points. And Young Ho Koo has been a beast most of the year. Actually, well, against me mostly, he's been going off, which isn't a surprise. All kickers have been going off against me this year.
Which is why we need to keep kickers in our league.
No, we need to get rid of kickers in the league because just the luck and disparity between kickers is ridiculous. So yeah, overall not great. He had Alvin Kamara only put up 4.7 fantasy points. He played Kyron Williams when Cam Akers was just a monster, and he just had a rough time from everybody else on his lineup. He's been having a really rough season. To start in the first 5 games, his record was actually 4-1. Really good, right? You'd think
but I
so.
believe he's lost the last 8. His team kind of sucks.
His team is ranked first in the power rankings. I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course they are. Because why wouldn't they be?
Because they're the best team in the league. That's why.
Sure.
I feel bad for Ryo. I really do. Not that he cares that much, to be honest, but he's had a rough go of it this year.
He has. He has.
Yeah. But all right, let's move on. We got matchup number 2. Saquon UC versus Team CM Keen, aka Chad, because he's too lame to name his team. If somebody with no team name wins the league, I'm putting this out there right now. If somebody with no personalized team name wins the league, I'm going to name your team and put it on the plaque. Just so you know. That should be
interesting.
That should be enough of a little kick in the ass to get your team name on there. But the nameless CM Keen team did put up 150.3 fantasy points versus Saquon's 105.44. Do you have any comments on this, Neil?
Yeah, looking at Chad's team, his team was really carried by Tony Pollard and the 2 A Browns, AJ Brown with almost 28 points, and how do you say his first name? Amon-Ra. I'm thinking about his brother. Sorry, Amon-Ra St. Brown with over 29 points. Really carried by the Browns, and that's not a racist thing. That's their last names.
That's their last names. Yes. If only he had Antonio Brown on his team, then they could really round out the trio. But yeah, he was. He had consistent games from the rest of his team too. Like the only player that did bad was Robert Tonyan with 1.5 fantasy points. And to be honest, at this point, like, why is he in your lineup? He hasn't really done, anything this year. So.
Pretty slim. It's pretty slim at tight ends this year. There's not really any good tight ends that are available to be picked up.
It is. He's also got 4 players on his team that are out or on IR. So he's kind of got a shallow bench here. But he's making it work. He's putting up almost the top score of the week, but not quite enough to eke out the victory of the top scorer. But yeah, everybody else was decent. Jared Goff had 21 fantasy points. Ramondre only had 10. And then Keenan Allen it's almost 18 fantasy points. So like great week from all around for most of his team. On the other hand, we've got Saquon UC, who actually they were all actually pretty decent this week too. Like almost everybody was over 10, but the problem was he just didn't have any boom games from any of his team. Like his highest scorer was Samaje Perine with 18 fantasy points, 18 and a half.
Yeah, and he did have a bust in there with Jalen Waddle, who had 1.4 points.
That's true, but he did get hurt this week, so I should have mentioned that, but it looked like he was at a limited practice on Wednesday, so I didn't actually add him to the injury report, but he did get hurt, and then he forced him out of the game. He did return later. But he was out of the game for a while, so he didn't really do too much. But yeah, so he just kind of had just didn't put up enough points. He was very consistent with his players, but no boom weeks this week. So unfortunately, that was his downfall. All right,
Definitely.
Let's look at matchup number 3. Unless you have any more comments on matchup number 2.
No, let's keep rolling.
Let's keep rolling is right. We've got Sir Lancelot versus Jerry's Kids. And this one was a closer matchup. We had Sir Lancelot, just not eking it out. It was a greater victory than eking it out, but he only won by 8 points. He won 118.6 to 110.16 fantasy points. And this was despite having 2 players. Well, actually, both teams had 2 players forced out due to injuries this week, at least part of the game. So on Sir Lancelot's side, he had Tua, who got hurt, and I think by the end of the game he was sitting out, I believe. Yeah, he got injured late, and he could have returned to the game, but he didn't. And then Aaron Jones did return to the game. Aaron Jones was in and out this week, despite injuring his shin.
Yeah, and Adam, it looks like Adam was really carried by Devontae Adams with 34 points, by far his high score, by I think about 15 points over anybody else on his team. So he got really carried there.
He did, yeah. He definitely got carried, and he put his best player in the flex, which is a flex in and of itself. So, so yeah, he was carried by Devontae, and he is lucky that he had Devontae, or else he might have taken an L here and lost his number one spot at the top of the rank. Not my power rankings, of course, but the league rankings, of course. Yes. But yeah, I mean, like, he just kind of had disappointments from his running backs this week. Austin Eckler only had 10.7 fantasy points. Like you said, Aaron Jones got hurt with 7.5. His wide receivers have been great. He kicked off his kicker, who only got him 5 points this week. Actually, oh no, he didn't. He doesn't have a bye this week. He just doesn't like him, I guess.
No,
so yeah.
it looks like Ryan Suckup is on mine. It says he's off roster.
That's what I'm saying. He kicked him off. He kicked him off after the week. So like,
gotcha.
So yeah, if we're looking back at the Week 13 matchups, it's showing who played on your team that week. But if they're not on the roster anymore, it says off roster.
I see. I thought it meant that Ryan Suckup got kicked off of the Buccaneers team. I'm like, really?
No, yeah. No, he's still on the Bucks. He is just no longer on Sir Lancelot's roster. So sorry, Ryan Suckup, you're not good enough to make it on Sir Lancelot's team. Better luck next year, I guess. On the other side of the matchup, we had, like we said, the two people that got hurt on this team in this matchup was Trevor Lawrence, who I think he's going to be fine for this week, but he did have a foot injury. He came out and went out and came back in, I think. And then Kenneth Walker, who went out and stayed out in this week. So he is actually questionable upcoming this week because he didn't practice today. He may not play week 14, like we were saying. But he had some great games he was carried by the Browns defense. He wasn't carried to victory, but he was carried quite heavily by a defense who put up 32 fantasy points. Let's see what they did. They had 2 interceptions, 12 allowed points, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. They had 2 defensive touchdowns and a special teams touchdown for a total of 3 touchdowns, and also a 4th down stop. That gave him 32 fantasy points this week. It's insane.
I would love to see how that week matches up against the best defensive performances of all time in recent memory, because that's really good.
That's up there, yeah. There might have been one other that hit the 30s this year. I don't remember. I feel like I'm remembering. I don't remember specifics is what I mean, but I feel like I remember some other team going off for like 30 fantasy points, but that would require some digging that I don't really have time to do right now. But we could take a look and see what we can find. But otherwise, the rest of his team just really didn't do great. He got 15 points from Justin Jefferson, 14 from David Montgomery. And Mark Andrews has been a disappointment. Did you know that since week 7, I believe, Mark Andrews has fewer fantasy points than Kyle Pitts?
Really?
Yes. Kyle Pitts has been a hella disappointment, but Mark Andrews has been worse.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
that is insane, especially because he started off the year so hot.
Right. Well, he didn't play week 9, and they had a bye week 10. So 2 games he didn't have any points. But yeah, week 7 he had 0.4 points. Week 8 he had 4.8, and then he missed 2 weeks. One was a bye, one was injury. Then he played, and he got 9.3 and 9 and 7.4. So he's not been the tight end that everybody wants from Mark Andrews when you've got him on your lineup. So maybe he's not worth that draft pick. You never know.
Yeah, we'll see what Brandon does with his keepers. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see. I'm sure he'll have some interesting choices. He always does. So let's move on to matchup number 4. We've got Team Buck Nasty 20, aka potentially a team that I could name if he does go all the way. We've got they put up 104.92 fantasy points to Team Go Clifford's 59.54 fantasy points, and clearly he is not taking care of his roster because he played a player who is not playing this week, Juwan Johnson. He was out. Although he did make some moves here today, so he's making moves. But yeah, unfortunately, either he didn't check his lineup or did Juwan Johnson get hurt during the game? No, he just didn't play. So yeah, he was not played. Lamar Jackson, it was unfortunate for Team Go Clifford. Lamar Jackson got hurt early in the game. He only got 1.3 fantasy points. And he was not carried, but his highest scorer of the week was Terry McLaurin with 20.5 fantasy points, who almost scored. He scored about a third of the points for Team Go Clifford this week.
Yeah, really by Team Go Clifford, really a piss poor performance. He was projected at about 103 points and only scored 60. I would like to see in our league's recent history whether anybody has, what's the word I'm looking for, gotten that much less, underperformed in 1 week.
I think we have had that, and it was worse than that. It was Chad. I think Chad did. He scored like 40-something points 1 week, I believe, and he was projected for like 110 or 115. Like something insane. I'd have to take a look back, but that one I know for sure we've had, if it wasn't that much of a disparity, it was close, because like that's the second time this year that we've had something very similar to that. So yeah, James, you're up there with Chad, aka you're down there with Chad. Putting up the potentially lowest number of fantasy points under projection, or the highest under projection. The most points less than their projection. They underperform the most. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, he likes to set expectations high and underperform.
Exactly. Yes, the basically exact opposite of what you want to do in general. No, just kidding. Set your expectations high and meet them, people. That's what I'm talking about. Exceed them, even. Exceed.
There you go. I'm sure your parents love hearing that.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they do too, because they listen to this podcast for sure.
I mean, who doesn't, right?
I'm pretty sure everybody in the entire world listens to this podcast. All my 4 viewers can tell you that. On the other side of the matchup, we had Team Buck Nasty, who had 104.92 fantasy points. And like this seems to be the narrative this week. He was carried by his wide receivers. Tyler Lockett put up 23 fantasy points. Tyreek Hill put up 25 fantasy points. They scored half his points. And everybody else on his team besides Patrick Mahomes was in single digits. So he had 3 players above double digits, and they all did pretty good. Patrick Mahomes had 19 as well. So everybody else was not only under 10, but under 8.2 fantasy points. They were all 8.1 or lower, which is crazy. He still got
that is quite funny. And he got the win, not by a little bit, by a lot. Over 60 points he won by.
Handedly. Not over 60, but over 40 for sure.
Yes, yeah. There's a reason I'm not a math teacher anymore.
But yeah, so a sad showing from Team Go Clifford, and an average, maybe slightly above average showing for Team Buck Nasty to maintain his potential dominance along, near the top of one of the divisions this year. And he is, we'll talk about this later, but he's fighting up there in playoff positioning. So I think I lost you. Oh wait, what just happened?
I was just messing with the settings. Doesn't it look cool though?
What did you do? You're screwing up my podcast format. What is this nonsense?
You want me to fix it?
Just kidding. It's very strange. Our heads are just sitting in the middle of a forest, so there's that.
Hey, it's called Together Mode. You should try it.
Yeah, I don't know what that is all about. Now we're in a cafe. There.
I changed it back.
No, we didn't. We're sitting having coffee.
Oh, for you, not for me.
Oh, it's not for you? Wait,
No.
how changed it for... It says change applies to all participants.
I only see, or you know what? Let me try this. Oh, now I see it.
There you go. Sitting having coffee, talking fantasy football. Let's continue, boys.
There you go.
Yes, we're keeping it. We're keeping it. All right. I hope it's still recording that. Yeah, it should be.
It shows that it's recording.
It is, but when I click away from, I can't see your face anymore. It just went black. So that doesn't matter. It's just the small, so I can't look at your face when I'm talking to you anymore. Now it's just a picture of you from, I think, high school or something. So, or college.
You should be able to change it back to grid mode and we can continue.
Oh, I was thinking we continue while we're talking in a coffee shop, if you're okay with that.
Well, if you can't see my face, who wouldn't want to see his face?
You're right. How do we switch it back from together mode?
Go to wherever it says together mode and then click on grid view.
View. Grid view. There we go. Whoa, now you're close. You're like super close. Your screen zoomed in on just your top half of your head. Yeah, now it's just your beard.
I'll just sit up really tall and uncomfortable looking.
Are you on your phone?
I am.
Maybe try rotating it. That's
How's
better.
that?
That's better. Much better. It's less close. You're still pretty close, but it's less. Let's see. Oh wait, no, we're still in grid view.
We are officially off the rails in this podcast.
We are. I don't know what. Well, that's because you were messing with all the settings. That's your fault. So let's move on. We got it back, kind of, I think. So let's move on to matchup number 5, the last matchup of the week, and your matchup this week. Oh, there we go. That's better.
Okay.
And now it's zoomed back out, so that's nice. All right, perfect. All right, we've got your matchup, Cooking Some Lamb versus More is Less. And Cooking Some Lamb, this was the most tightly contested matchup of the week. It was 104.78 points for Cooking Some Lamb to More is Less's 101.86 fantasy points. Would you like to take this away and describe how your team...
For sure. We'll talk about Cooking Some Lamb first. So Geno Smith is the surprise quarterback of the year, who was actually number 7 this year. Decent performance, 23 points. We have Josh Jacobs, who has really carried this team this year. He's the number 2 running back this entire year. Got Dalvin Cook, who's always a stud, number 10. Mari Cooper, not that great of a week, but his year has been very solid. Debo, honestly, kind of underwhelmed. I lost it. Hold on. He had only 9 points, but I didn't really need much more than that because I had Matthew Wright, who had 16 points as my kicker, who I picked up for the week and actually just recently dropped. And what's that?
Why'd you drop him again? You think Dustin Hopkins is going to be better than Matthew Wright? Right.
There's a reason I'm where I am at 8-5, and there's a reason that you are where you are at 6-7. So I just throw that out there.
That's only 2 wins better than where I'm at. That's not even that much more.
It's a long way. I mean, you're a long way down from where I'm sitting.
What are your points for? You are only at 8-5 because we've only scored 1,200 points against you. You have the least.
A wise man once said that you are what your record says you are. We are what our record says we are, and you are what your record says you are.
I have scored almost 100 more fantasy points than you have on the year.
But what is your record?
It doesn't matter. I'm going to kick you off this podcast.
Doesn't it, though?
Then. Anyway, we're talking about matchups, buddy.
Anyways, we'll talk about Course's team, who actually got a lot closer to me than I expected. Justin Fields at 19 points. Miles Sanders, decent 11 points. A lot of consistent point getters for the most part. You did have a dud in George Pickens at less than a point. George Kittle only 3.2 points based on where he drafted. That's not what you would want. But he got a lot of points in the Monday night game that I didn't expect. 14 points from Rachaad White. I thought I had this matchup in the bag going into the Monday night. But I checked my phone in the fourth quarter and it's really close. I was not gonna lie, I was a little worried there at the end. But I do have faith in my guys and we were able to pull it off. So I'm happy about that.
There you go. I'm glad you got the win this week. You're only
Me too.
You got your hopes up now, but you're gonna get crushed in the playoffs. Just let me tell you that.
We'll see in the playoffs. Anything can happen.
Yeah, week 2 of the playoffs, you are gonna go down.
Oh, why not week 1?
Wait a minute. Hang on. It says you're number 3 right here.
I think that's by overall record, but that doesn't take into account our divisions.
Yeah, well, divisions are stupid. Don't you want to get rid of divisions?
No, I love divisions. I love kickers too.
You've been fighting to get rid of divisions for the past couple of years, haven't you?
Have I?
I believe you have.
I know I tried to get the 2 that each week counts as 2 wins, one if you beat the league average and one if you win or lose. That was way downvoted. But if we had done that, I'd be way out of playoff position right now. So I'm happy we didn't approve that.
Yeah, you would be out of playoff position because you haven't scored. Speaking of which, let's go into this. Let's move into this. Let's go into the weekly awards for this week. We've got obviously the best team of the week was Jason's team. That's my team. The worst team of the week, as we talked about, was James. Now, you were the most efficient manager. You put in your optimal lineup. Your 100% optimal lineup this week. But you know what that means? You know what? We'll get to it. We had the least manager, who was James, of course. The highest points in a loss was Brandon. Now, as we get to this, let's see. Let's put this. You were the most efficient manager this week, playing your 100. I think it was your 100% most optimal lineup. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes. Your maximum points was 104.78 fantasy points. So that means your lowest points in the win was 104.78 fantasy points. And you happen to take that award home this week. And
the best teams know how to win when they're not performing their best. My team has the heart. My team has the grit. What it takes now.
Are you the Minnesota Vikings? You just win 1-score games?
Hey, you are what your record says you are.
They're going to get destroyed in the playoffs, too. The biggest blowout was my team, with scoring 151 fantasy points. That was fantastic. The narrowest victory, as we were saying, Mr. 1-score games, was Neil. The overachiever of the week was Chad. He must have been projected less than me because he did score less than me. So
looks like he was projected at 105 and scored 150.
Yeah, I think I was projected at like between 110 and 115. So, and then the underachiever, of course, was James. So those are where they are. We'll just put it that way. All right, we'll quickly blow through the power rankings here. We got to get going because we're moving slow, and I got to go to bed. So we've got power rankings this week. We've got number 1, of course, is Rio. He is the best team in the league, as always. As always. We've got number 2 is Adam. Number 3 is Chad. I put Chad over Aaron because Aaron has 4 quarterbacks. Aaron is number 4. Neil, I put you at 5 only because your record is high, not because your team is good.
Fair.
6 is Benaya. 7 is me, of course. 8 is Brandon. 9 is Courts, and 10 is James. Courts and James did get switched this week. I left myself down there because I feel like my team needs a little kick in the ass. Part of this whole, comeback story that everybody's going to see this year. So, started from the bottom. Now we're in the middle right now.
I'm sorry. Were you 0-4 to start this year?
No, I was actually 4-1 the year.
Okay, just wondering. Because I was 0-4, and now I'm 8-5. Just throw that out there.
Did you lose 5 games in a row this year?
No, I lost 4, and then I won 8 out of the last 9, I believe.
Oh, right. I lost 5 in a row, and then I was 4-1 and 1-0 on either side of that. So.
Well, the difference is you had already had some wins before that. I didn't have any wins when I had 4 straight losses.
Look, I can't help it if you draft shitty. Okay.
Anyways, let's move on, shall we?
Move on to the
weekly waiver wire studs.
There we go.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Did you hear that?
I did hear that. Can you hear me?
Yeah. It looked like you're having some issues with your headphones.
I got these new headphones on Cyber Monday, and I'm still figuring them out.
Just don't touch them when we're in recording because it ended the call. So
okay.
All right, I'm recording again, so I'll just cut off this 10 seconds and then we'll go forward.
Cool.
All right, we're back. We had some technical issues. Actually, Neil hung up on me with his darn headphones. So we're back now though. So that's all that matters. We have the waiver wire team that would kick all of our asses. Let's see if they did so this week. We got Mike White leading the pack at quarterback with 17.5 fantasy points. We had Cam Akers in the running back 1 spot with 18.5 fantasy points. The running back 2 spot, we have Malik Davis of the Dallas Cowboys with an 8.9 fantasy points. I looked back at all the running back transactions, and I didn't see anybody come off of the waivers that scored more than Malik Davis, except for Cam Akers, of course. So I think that's the second highest scoring running back this week, which is very surprising on the waivers. We have wide receiver 1, wide receiver 1 is technically Alec Pierce with 16.6 fantasy points. Michael Gallup had 16.3 fantasy points to be the wide receiver 2. And Noah Fant is the tight end. We got 12.2 fantasy points from him. In the flex, we got Trent Sherfield with 14 fantasy points. The Chargers D put up 13 fantasy points, and Greg Zuerlein put up 19 fantasy points. And the total of this matchup, or this lineup, is 136 fantasy points. That means 2 of us took down the waiver wires this week. Once again, that's happened 3 times this year, I believe, that 2 of us, that's the only times that the waivers have lost is when 2 of us have beat the waiver wire. So technically the waiver wires have lost 6 times this year, but they've technically only lost 3 weeks. So yeah, there's been 3 bad weeks of waivers this year, which I think is an unprecedented number. So congratulations to everybody. And now, as I promised, it was me and Chad, by the way. in case you had forgotten who scored the most and the second most on the week. And now we're moving on to, as I promised, this playoff scenarios this week. So this can be a little convoluted. So we're going to see if we can sort it out. It's less convoluted than previously because I didn't have to go back and check out all the head-to-head matchups and anything like that. But in the 1 seed, because we all are very similar right now, we have like a bunch of people fighting for positions. So in the 1 seed, right now, Aaron and Adam are tied at 9-4. If Adam loses and Aaron wins, Aaron has the number 1 seed locked, and vice versa. So if Adam wins and Aaron loses, Adam locks down the 1 seed. If both win, Adam likely has the 1 seed because he's up by like 150 points on Aaron. So unless Aaron outscores Adam by 150 points, that's not going to happen. If they both lose and Neil wins, Neil, you have the 1 seed. And Adam has the 2 seed, most likely, and Aaron has the 3 seed. So
okay, hold on. I didn't quite understand this part. So Adam has scored more points than me by a lot this year, right?
Oh, you're right. You know what? You're right.
So that puts me out of contention for the 1 seed.
Most likely, unless you outscore him by 200 fantasy points this week because your team has put up no fantasy points.
Any given Sunday. Any given Sunday.
Yeah. So, no, you're right. I am incorrect. You basically have the 2 seed locked up because if they both lose and Neil wins, you win, you'd still have to outscore him. So yeah, he's pretty much got the 1 seed locked up if both of them lose. So you're right. I am wrong. I literally threw this together like right before I sent it to you. So, and right before this podcast aired. So I was going pretty quick, but I think you are correct. You are basically guaranteed the 2 seed, and that's it. So you're just essentially locked into the 2 seed. The 3 seed will be the loser between the fight between Adam and Aaron. So more likely Aaron than Adam, but there is a chance if Aaron wins and Adam loses that Adam would be the 3 seed and would have to play next week. And this is where it gets interesting. So more interesting, I should say. For the 4 seed is still technically up in the air. Chad has a 7-6 record. He's the only one with a 7-6 record. And he is in the opposite division than Neil, so he can't take the 2 seed away. But if Chad wins, he has the 4 seed locked. If he loses, any one of the 6 and 7 teams could take the 4 seed back from him. So essentially, if he loses and any one of those 6 and 7 teams win, then it's down to the points for tiebreaker. So realistically, that could be Benaya, me, or Brandon. Sorry, I put James. I meant Jason. James he could technically do it, but he's also down by almost 60 fantasy points, so he could outscore Chad by 60 and potentially be the 4 seed. But more realistically, it's probably Benaya, me, or Brandon. And interestingly, all 4 of the 6 and 7 teams do not play each other this week. So there's no like win and in, lose and out specifically like versus each other. But Chad plays, and then Chad plays Aaron. So none of the 6 and 7 teams could beat Chad to take his spot. Essentially, they can't. So those are the 5 matchups: are the 4, 6, and 7 teams playing against people, and then Chad playing against Aaron.
Very interesting. Very important week for some.
Yeah. So
very unimportant week for one person, actually.
And you wonder why I didn't want to do the podcast with you last week after you beat me down and probably would have.
Can you imagine how unbearable I would have been?
Yes, I probably wouldn't have posted it because I probably would have stopped recording early and just gone on my merry ass way and not bothered to do a podcast because I didn't want to.
Would you have hung up on me?
Yes, I probably would have. I would have gotten mad because I was already not in a great mood. I was in a good mood going into this week, and I'm irritated a little bit.
I mean, some people are just destined for greatness. Some people are just not. That's just how it is.
I was annoyed with you, so I will do it for real and not pick it back up. I'm just kidding. No, we've got like I was saying, the 4 seed is up in the air. Any of the 6
people, we had some technical difficulties there. Jason, do you know what happens?
Yes, I cut you off because you were annoying me. Yeah, I'll say it. I don't care. No, we've got I get sensitive about these things, about fantasy football, and I really take it seriously. And I have a rough time when I lose. And people rubbing it in my face doesn't sit well with me. I'm a sore loser.
Okay. At the end of the season, we'll get you your participation trophy.
We'll get me my real trophy. It's going to be back here because I'm going to win the playoffs. Like I said,
is it possible that you missed the playoffs?
Does it feel bad knowing that you're going to have to play against the best teams in the league and going to have to put up more than 100 fantasy points to get a victory?
I know my team is capable of greatness. We're saving it. We're saving it for when we need it.
All right. Well, at least I'm getting some digs back at you, so that's all that matters. All right, so like I said, 4 seeds up in the air, and that means the 5 and the 6 seed are even more up in the air. Actually, it's probably less up in the air because it's just the 4, 5, 6, and 7 teams. That could potentially get it. I think basically Chad is actually already. He's not guaranteed to be in the playoffs. Chad could actually not be in the playoffs if he lost and 3 of these 6 and 7 teams win and outscore him on the year, then he's out. So Chad could technically be out of the playoffs.
Oh, very important week.
Very important week. So Chad needs a win, and if he wins, he's in. But at least 2 of the current 6 and 7 teams are going to be in the playoffs. It's just a matter of who wins and who loses, and who has the most points at the end of it. So, right now, the points for is me at 1443 at the top of the 4. We've got Brandon is second with 1415. We've got Benaya, who's at 1399, and James, who's at 1294. Now, this could not mean anything if 2 teams win and 2 teams lose. 2 teams win, 2 teams lose, and the 2 teams that win are going to be in the playoffs. The 2 teams that lose are going to be out. But if we have 3 teams that win, or 4 teams that win, or if we have 3 teams that lose and 4 teams that lose, it's going to come down to points. So those are they're going to matter. They're going to matter as we go. So we'll figure it out. But
yeah, outlining these scenarios, it seems like this is going to be a very entertaining last week with so much up in the air. And when we have 5 people fighting for 3 spots, is that right?
Yep.
It'll be fun to watch as the day unfolds.
Yeah, I mean that's the upside and also the downside of leagues that are this close at the end of the year. Like this is kind of been an up and down year for basically everybody. So like except the couple teams at the top, it's been not including you, the 9 and 4 teams. You have had an up and down year, and you've admitted it yourself.
I've had a down and then an up year. So
you're right. You had a down and an up year. But yeah, so like for a lot of teams, it's just been kind of middling. Good weeks, bad weeks. There's been only a couple, like one essentially dominant team, and one slightly better team. although they have scored less points than me, Aaron's team. But, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, you are what your record says you are.
I guess so. I am what my points for says they are. That's what I say.
Is it all based on in the playoffs what your points are or what your record is?
Points are.
I don't remember.
The big tiebreaker is points.
Tiebreaker, but that's only the break ties.
But then once you get to the playoffs, it's all about points.
That's true. It's all about if you can beat the person in front of you, which is what fantasy football is truly about.
Yeah, scoring more points than the other person is points.
Yep, which I've done 8 times, and you've done 6. Just saying.
Right.
Just saying.
You're right. But how many weeks have I scored more than you? That's a better question. If we had gone head to head for 13 weeks, who would have a better record?
Doesn't really matter though, because
I think it does. If we're talking about how good each of our teams are.
I just look at the record. That's all I look at.
Well, then you're missing the picture. You're missing the whole picture, my man. Anyways, let's move on to looking into next week's matchup predictions.
I can see the future. I have to stop you from destroying my race. In the future.
We already did that.
I knew you'd do that.
Darn right. All right, so the first matchup is the Christian Crusaders, newly christened Christian Crusaders, versus More is Less. And I'm going to have to go with my team here. Both of my running backs, yes, did have limited practices on Wednesdays. But they're going to be out there, and they're going to be monsters. DeAndre Swift and Christian McCaffrey. And then my wide receivers have fantastic matchups. We got Christian Kirk, Garrett Wilson, both in good matchups. Garrett Wilson's been on fire recently with your boy Mike White at the helm. Zach Wilson. No, Mike White at the helm. And then Raheem Mostert has a great matchup against the Chargers. And although he did not look good last week, they were playing against the 49ers, but he was the leading ball carrier for the Miami Dolphins. Jeff Wilson did not seem like he was very involved. He only had like 2 touches or 3 touches. So Mostert is back in his lead role, and it's a great matchup against a run funnel team of the LA Chargers. I think my team, the Christian Crusaders, takes down More is Less.
As much as I hate to say it, I do think you will win this week and get yourself into the playoffs. Hortz's team has really has been on, what's the opposite of a roll, would you say?
I don't know. A flat stop.
All right, we'll go with flat stop. His team has really been on a flat stop, losing his last 3 games, and no real studs really on his team, by my standards at least. George Kittle, who was supposed to be one of his best players, has been struggling a little bit in the last week. So I expect you to win this matchup handedly.
All right. That's good to hear. On to the next matchup, which I believe is your matchup. We have Cooking Some Lamb versus Saquon UC. Now, this is a tougher matchup. It looks like your team doesn't look too great. You're even starting a player that is on a bye. You should probably fix that.
Yeah, well, because we already have our bye locked in, I'm actually starting all my backups so that everybody gets a chance to play. Now, everybody has a chance to play. Everybody has that experience because they never know when they'll get called. And really, we have nothing. We have almost nothing to play for because we've already got our 2 seed locked down. We're not going to get the first. We're not going to get the third. So I will save my guys for when I need them. We don't want anybody to get hurt, so we're just going to leave them on the bench. And we'll look forward to the playoffs.
If you do that, I'm going to force into your lineup your most optimal lineup based on projections because other people's matchups rely on this, like Benaya's. I'm sure Benaya would love to see you start this lineup. However, we're going to see if we're going to let that happen going into the weekend.
So theoretically, though, what if I was doing this to get Benaya's team in? Because let's say I'm not afraid of Benaya's team, but I am afraid of somebody else's team. So I'm doing it on purpose as a strategy. What would your take be on that?
Chat, what do you think? You tell us what you think of that scenario. All of you listeners out there.
All four of you?
All four of you. I don't think that's a truthful strategy that you have. I think you're just BSing it. But if that was for real, I still think, I don't know. It's tough turning down a strategy in general, but at the same time, it's not a fair matchup for, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of BS, to be honest, but I don't know if I could have officially stop you. It just feels like crappy to me.
It does. And to be completely honest, I will be starting my normal lineup because I'm trying to win that Hamilton baby. That's all we have left to play for.
Right. You got to get your $10, man, because you're not first or second, so you got to get your money back somehow.
Does third place get anything?
Actually, we talked about getting third place their money back, and second place like $100, I think, and then first place all the rest of the money. I think that's what we talked about. It's in the show. It's in that Word document from the beginning of the year. I'd have to find it, but yeah. So, I think, I don't know. He's got Jeff Wilson in, which I don't, like I said, I don't think he's going to get the work. I don't know. It's tough to know what the timeshare is going to look like in Miami. It's really tough.
Mm-hmm.
Because last week's game was kind of a, who knows what happened. But I don't even know what your starting lineup even looks like because they're all gone. Your bench. Your starting lineup all has bad matchups this week. Your actual starting lineup.
And we scheduled it on purpose that way because we knew we'd have nothing to play for at this point. So
there you go. I think I'm gonna go with Osaquan UC to get the victory here. Believe it or not, even with your actual starting lineup in.
Just because you know that they want it more this week.
Yeah, that's probably it. They have something to play for. Your team doesn't have anything to play for.
Exactly.
Who you got? Is that who you got?
I think whoever I put out there is gonna get their job done, and I'm gonna take cooking some lamb.
All right. Now we don't all have the same answers for all five of them. So good work. That way we know I'll beat you in the predictions. So
we'll see. You should you should do a historical or just of this year how your picks do against other people's picks. I think that'd be interesting.
Well, that's usually what I do in the next week. I recap how I did versus the other person, but I didn't do it this week.
I think it'd be cool if you did it for all the weeks together.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but I did more.
Maybe in the season, maybe in the season ending one.
I did more than half of the episodes by myself, and also, I haven't done every single week, so. It's been kind of a scatterbrained year this year. I've been lots of stuff going on, so really haven't done it too much. So I haven't been keeping track of a lot of things. I was planning on keeping track of all the awards every single week, and I started to for the first half of the season, but then I kind of stopped, and then I really only added it in when I did the podcast itself. So kind of everything slowed down with that, and starting a new job and getting everything, figured out with, everything that's going on. So, yeah, not. You guys are lucky that I'm getting a podcast out if I do get a podcast out that week. So, I'm doing the best I can here. So,
yeah, well, in all honesty, I'll stop with my jackassness and say that being the commissioner is a thankless job, and there's no one else in this league that I think would do it better.
I appreciate it. To be honest, it's really not that difficult of a job during the season too much. It's mostly just getting everything set up at the beginning of the year and then just running it. So, but yeah, this takes more time doing the podcast, which has nothing to do with me actually being the commissioner, but like doing the podcast for fun has taken a lot more time than being the commissioner of the league. So, but yeah, like I said, I do enjoy doing it despite, what I had said previously. I do enjoy doing it, and it's it's nice to be able to hang out with one of you guys every single week when we can get together and find time that both people can do it, and talk with you guys and just talk about fantasy. So it's a good time. So I appreciate it. Yeah, but on that note, I do have to get to bed at some point. So let's continue with the matchup predictions. Matchup number 3, we've got the nameless teams that could potentially be named by me by the end of the year. Hey, the chances are high if both of these teams get in the playoffs. 1/3 of the teams don't have a team name. So 33% chance that I get to name the team that's on the plaque. That'd be fun. That'll be fun. All right, we got Team CM Keem versus Team Buck Nasty. Now let's take a look at this. As much as I hate to say it, Team CM Keem has been surging recently, and he's got really good matchups for his quarterback, running backs, Amon-Ra, Jay Willie, the other Jay Willie, Jameson Williams, also on Detroit. That's not confusing, right? Jay Willie,
Not at all.
on Detroit.
Yeah, I am going to have to go. I think Aaron's team has a lot more star power, has a much higher ceiling, and I think they're going to want to try to earn that 1 seed this week. So I'm going to take Aaron's team.
And he grabbed Cam Akers. That was like his first move ever on the waiver wire.
He dropped a good amount of change on him too.
Yeah, because he had $100 left. I'm gonna have to go with Team CM Keen, for this victory. I think he's gonna pull it out.
All right.
Yep. All right, matchup number 4. We've got Sir Lancelot versus Team Go Clifford. This one's a no-brainer. Let's not even talk about this one too much.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. Adam really deserves to blow him out of the water and just fall back into that 1 seed.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's not even going to be close. James doesn't check his lineup, and his team is not that great anymore. Nick Chubb started off the year really strong, and I think he's still been decent, but like, he's been okay.
He's okay. Number 6 running back this year.
Yeah, well, he was number 1 like 6 weeks ago, so he's dropped quite a bit actually. But yeah, I think Adam's team's got this in the bag. So let's go to matchup number 5. We've got the Young Hoes versus Jerry's Kids. And this has some potential repercussions. Actually, all of them. All matchups have playoff repercussions this week, which is kind of cool. If not on one side, then the other. Like, we never really mentioned, actually, but I apologize to both Ryo and Courts. You are not eligible for the playoffs this year. I'm sorry. But you guys cannot be in the playoffs.
What is our punishment again for being the worst during the regular season?
It's the license plate frame.
Okay, and which one is the dress?
Losing the toilet bowl.
All right. Well, the good thing is I still have the dress that I wore at the draft, so that will be passed on.
There we go. We're all set. We are all set. And
So no excuses.
And the license plate frame was salvaged from the wreckage of Brandon's car wreck. So I think that's on his new car now. So I think we're all set.
Well, I have seen his new car, and I didn't see it on there. So hopefully he has put it back on.
Did you look for it?
I didn't look that closely, but I feel like it's something that would have stood out.
I think Adam said it was on there.
I'll have to take a look next time I see him.
You should. I could be wrong, but I thought Adam had told me that it was on there now. But I could be wrong. Let's take a look at the last matchup here. We do have the Young Hoes versus Jerry's Kids. I think I'm gonna have to go with Jerry's Kids this week because, well, Ryo's got to check his lineup. Hopefully, he starts a full roster here. But the Jerry's Kids just has like great matchups throughout. Although he does have Trevor Lawrence and Kenneth Walker, who both Trevor Lawrence will probably play, but Kenneth Walker might not. And then he's gonna have to put in somebody.
And he's also got Allen Lazard and Montgomery on bye this week. So it'll be interesting to see the line of decisions he makes in this critical week.
Yeah, he needs a wide receiver. Because he doesn't have a fill-in wide receiver right now.
That's right. He only has Cortland Sutton, who is doubtful to play this week.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I still think the Young Hoes loses. I mean, he currently is carrying lineup. He doesn't really have anybody to like. He has Leonard Fournette, Damian Harris, and James Cook to fill in for Kamara.
I'm going to have to agree with you on this one. I think Brandon's team is going to be hungry to win this match, especially with their lives on the line. I'm going to pick Jerry's Kids to pull this one off.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think I've projected all the 6 and 7 teams to win this week. So we're gonna have to see. Oh no, I picked Saquon UC too. Yeah. So I picked all the 6 and 7 teams to win this week, which means it'll come down to points. So we're gonna see how that goes if that does come true. But no, I wanted to apologize, Neil, because I was a little bit sour, and you deserve to gloat over your number 2 seed. So I apologize. But yes, you have won, and you're right. Your record says you're better than us. So
there you go. And for what it's worth, I will not apologize for anything. My team is just that good. We're going all the way this year, baby.
There you go. Somebody's got to have confidence in your team.
There you go.
Might as well be you. So, Neil, thank you for joining me this week. I have had a good time messing around with you and hearing you brag about your team and bragging about my team, and that's just what makes for great podcasting. So, so I appreciate having you on, and I always love having you on.
Definitely. It's always a blast.
Yes, it's always a blast sitting in the amphitheater on the stone steps with you. I always have a good time doing it. So we'll have to do it again sometime, or maybe we can meet in the coffee shop next time or something like that, you know.
Definitely. Are there any plans this year to have a last Sunday meetup?
We could. I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest. Like, yeah, it's been pretty busy, but we could do like, would you want to do like a championship? Is that what you mean? A championship meetup? The problem is not everybody. At that point, it would have ideally been this weekend, maybe, but
this would have been a good one because every matchup is relevant.
Yeah.
So we'll have to talk about that in the group chat.
Yeah, we'll have to start talking about it. I would enjoy doing that. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know, and I would love to love to get something together for that. So
yeah. Honestly, I think we should give anybody a prize who's made it this far into the podcast.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a good hour and a half. So good work, guys. Good work. I'll give you a high five the next time I see you if you've made it all.
That's so worth it.
Don't forget to cash in the high five. I will come through and I will deliver the high five.
We'll see if anybody lets us know about the high five, or if nobody just makes it this far, and it can be our little secret.
We'll know that at that point. We will know who listens to the entire episode or not. So yeah, if you tell me about the high five in secret, don't do it in the group chat. Do it like DM me, and I'll let Neil know so that he knows who also listened to it the full way through. But DM me personally and tell me about the high five so that it's not going in the public chat so everybody knows. So just tell me, I'll give you a high five, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
All right, boys. Like I said, Neil, thanks again for joining me. Guys, this is a big week. Good luck in all of your matchups, except for those of you who are 6-7 with me. I hope all of you lose, even though I picked you to win, because obviously I want my team to make the playoffs and be the 4 seed, even if it's possible. So
you're not going to wish me good luck? Because I need it, right?
You don't need anything. I do need you to win, so I wish you good luck. Yes, I do wish. I wish everybody good luck except for the 6-7 teams. So you were part of that, Neil.
Okay, well, good to have. They hated us at the beginning, but they're with us now.
You're right. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. I hope all of you have a good last week of the regular season of the Fantasy Football League, and we will see you during playoff time. All right, see you guys.